Welcome to Mechanic. Today we're going to talk about Mercedes SAM modules. SAM stands for Signal Acquisition Module. You have front SAM and rear SAM. So right here I'm holding the front SAM on a S-Class. Now this, as you can see on top, is full of fuses and relays. Here we have this computer board, and a lot of the different modules and a lot of the components, sensors, and a lot of things on the car are really connected through this. So if one of these is bad, it will throw a lot of fault codes. I'm going to show you in a second here. We're looking at this Mercedes S-Class, and this has a bad rear signal acquisition module, or at least it's completely shut down. As you can see, we're scanning the vehicle here. This scan is taking longer than usual, and that's part of the reason, because that rear SAM it's not working. And then the problem is that a lot of the other modules on the car have fault codes, because there's so many sensors that go through that rear SAM. So for example, electronic parking brakes, they're going through that rear SAM. All the backup camera and turn rear, like brake lights and turn signals and everything on the back end of the car, pretty much, part of some of the restraint system of the vehicle, it's actually going through that rear SAM. And since that's completely shut down right now, it's not actually getting any power. There's so many modules that are saying, hey, we have an issue with this sensor or that sensor. So when you look at a car like this that has a lot of fault codes, you have to kind of look at the bigger picture, and the first thing you should check is maybe you have a bad fuse box or SAM module that's not getting power or is defective. In this case, our rear SAM, I'll show you, it's right here. It's actually not getting any power at all. That's the rear SAM module right there. It has been replaced. That didn't fix the problem, and then we realized that it's not getting power. Now, one way you can check if it's getting power is that if you get the wiring diagram for the SAM, you'll see that there is going to be some terminals where the main power feeds are. If we look at this one right here really quickly, just by looking at this, I can tell that right here, this really thick terminals, there are going to be your positive and ground. Now you want to double check this, but in this case I would feel pretty confident. I would check this harness, I would unplug it and use a multimeter to see if there's power coming through these wires. If there isn't, you want to go and get the wiring diagram, confirm that this is where power is supposed to come in. But a lot of times these can fail, can get water damage, moisture and stuff, and they might get power, they might partially function, and that can be a little bit tricky, because the problem is that you might have codes in other modules, and because those wires are being communicated through that SAM module, and you might not have any fault codes in the SAM module itself at all. In this case, when we go to connect to the SAM module, we just get no communication. And in some cases you might get communication, like I said, and then you might have no codes at all. But if you look at this, for example, that's a store code, but like you have this communication with electric parking brake. If in the shifter module you have communication, it's because it goes through that rear SAM fuel pump. You can see it's a store code, but it's still active issue. RBS brakes, CAN bus, no communication with ABC control module. A lot of these codes, hybrid brake, light switch, you can see a lot of these codes have to do with that rear SAM. And you see codes everywhere. Another rear SAM control module. There is a code for the upper control module, which is that one right there. It's not communicating with the rear SAM, so you see a code right there. Driver signal acquisition. See, it's front SAM has all these fault codes. For rear lights, faulty left, all the rear lights are not working. But the problem is not the front SAM. The problem is the rear SAM, or the rear fuse box. Battery management system, and we can go to the report here actually. And if you go to the bottom, you can see all these codes. And then of course you want to kind of focus first on these codes that are current, so you can kind of, what you could do is save this report and then clear the codes and then just kind of address what comes up and focus on the, but you can see a lot of no communication, no can message, and so on. So that these are pretty common symptoms of faulty fuse box or SAM module on a Mercedes, where the SAM module itself, if we go back, go to control modules, go to body, and then let me go, there's driver SAM and then rear SAM. So this vehicle does have rear SAM, pretty much all Mercedes do, but we're gonna see here it's gonna take a second and then it's gonna say no communication. So because that rear SAM is not getting any power at all. Now we have another video on how to troubleshoot that and figure out what's wrong, but that's what the SAM module is on the Mercedes, and then how you can connect the dots a little bit and try to figure out if it's bad. If you are going to replace a SAM module on a Mercedes, if you do purchase the SAM module from the dealership, it's not going to be activated at all. So I mean, it's like, you can't just plug it in and expect it to work. You will have better luck with trying to match this part number here and here, and also get a used unit from a vehicle that has the same kind of configuration. So like for the rear SAM, try to get it from the same, if it's a S550, try to get it from another donor vehicle, S550, rear wheel drive, if it's a rear wheel drive, and so on. You can get the VIN of the donor vehicle and then try to make sure that it's very similar configuration, because if it's not, then you will install it and it will work. The SAM it's not like anti-theft, so it doesn't need to have the VIN number coded to it, but it might need something to be changed in there. So for example, if you're working on a ML or GM and then you have a tow hook on the back, but the donor vehicle didn't have that tow connection and hardness and everything, then the rear SAM might need to be reconfigured with a scan tool, so that it will recognize that tow hitch. So that's why you try to want to get it from a car that has very similar configuration. So that's all. Thank you for watching Mechanic, where you can be the mechanic.